Can I have your full name?
My name's Amanda Brown.
And what do you do for a living?
Well, I run the Tucson Herb Store, and also I'm an acupuncturist and also a somatic experiencing therapist. I don't think we talked about that.
No, that's great. Where did you receive your training?
In town, actually, my school was ASOM, Arizona School of Acupuncture and Oriental Medicine.
And how long does one typically have to go? I'm sure there's different schools.
Yeah. Usually the way that model works is 3 years of training, but it's an intensive, so it's actually, if you look at the amount, it's 4 years of training. And I actually did my training in 5 years because I felt like it was just crazy pace for me, and so it took me extra long, but I felt like I was able to really, dive in deep with it and kind of take my time.
What brought you to this field?
Yeah, I think I've always been kind of fascinated with the way things work and kind of understanding like there's more than meets the eye or more than like our kind of scientific understanding of the way things work. I wanted to, the idea of like chi and that the body works through this kind of more, I guess it seems mysterious from the out, but now I don't think of it that way as much, but just kind of having a deeper understanding that's more dynamic and feels more real to me. So that was just a point of real kind of fascination. And of course too, that just, it's healing and, provides a whole new way of healing that's pretty profound, And there's a lot of aspects to it, I guess.
But what got you floating towards Chinese medicine?
I think, I've worked with Western herbs for a really long time, in my shop here, and I've always loved that. I love working with plants, and I think I found kind of Western traditions because it's such a broken tradition, that Western herbs kind of only got popular again in like the 60s, and our knowledge is kind of broken. So it felt like a lot of Western herbs had a limit as to like what you could understand and how to treat people with them. Like I just kind of felt like really working with people with complex issues, I couldn't get where I wanted, and Chinese medicine really offered that. It's like at least a 2,000-year-old lineage of kind of solid understanding of what plants can do for people and what the needles can do, and that was really exciting to me,
Can you give a little information about what's the difference between Western herbs and Eastern herbs?
Yeah, let's see. For one thing, they're not different in a way. There's some plants that are used in both traditions, Like we were saying that, or that I was saying that they don't have that concept of herbs to strengthen and tonify, like they're kind of also using herbs to just alter physiology, like, oh, this treats a cold, oh, this will just calm you down, this will deal with a stomach ache, it's kind of more symptomatic treatment. And Chinese medicine can kind of, I love it because it's like you're looking at, I kind of think of it as like weather patterns in a body. Like I'm able to kind of come to a person with diagnostic skills and look at all the patterns going on for someone, and it's almost like weather patterns, and kind of like treating by addressing those patterns in the body to kind of bring homeostasis back into the body. So it's this kind of very more dynamic way of looking at things and seeing. I think when people come in with health issues, they feel like in a state of chaos around what's going on and all these different random things that I'm experiencing. I don't know what's going on, and Chinese medicine can really offer this kind of bigger understanding of why all those different random things are happening and kind of treat it foundationally. It's, want that, and it's leaning towards it and looking for that, but it kind of doesn't. It's kind of falling on plant constituents and that more Western model. But it does grab from Ayurveda and Chinese medicine, so it does kind of pull from a lot of traditions. So I don't mean to like totally, knock it down. I think that it can offer some of that. It's just that the Chinese medicine really kind of goes deep into that, and I love that. I'm trying to kind of figure this out as a new practitioner, but it's like you're gathering and investigating all this information and trying to see a bigger picture. And I think our Western minds often want, like, what does this mean? What does this mean? These very kind of specific answers. And the interesting thing about an Eastern medicine is that it's all relational, and it's all kind of like a bigger picture of how things relate and work together. So it's hard for me to answer sometimes that really specific, what does this mean picture. So the way I like to work is kind of, it's not that I don't want to give answers right away, but it's hard for me. And so I like to gather all my information, put the needles in, and then go sit with the information and kind of like make a list of everything I see and look at the patterns of what's going on and relating, and then I kind of have this deeper understanding, or start to get an understanding of what I see, and then come back and say, you know, this is what I see, and this is how the parts relate, and why this is happening, and that, and what your pulses are telling me, kind of then give that information. Does that make sense? Kind of, it's really challenging sometimes to explain one thing specifically, what it all means in that one moment.
Can you give me an example of who might come and see you and what situations in their bodies
Yeah.
are, where's the out of balanceness for them?
Yeah, like a lot of people come for treatment that have tried a lot of other things, and they, like, kind of like what I was just saying, they feel confused about what's going on with many things. Like, they have digestive complaints, they have anxiety, you know, they have skin issues, it's like almost like, I mean, I think in this day and age, people are suffering from overload of everything. So it's like, it's almost like their bodies are in a state of chaos that they don't know, you know, what's going on. And so they have a lot of chronic issues or unexplained things happening, for sure.
So do you have people that come to you who have thyroid issues,
Yeah.
fibromyalgia,
Absolutely.
MS?
Yeah.
Is there anything else, arthritis or any of these?
I mean, I've definitely like treated a lot of female complaints, like menopause stuff, menstrual issues. A lot of people with eczema and, like, you know, weird skin issues that they can't, you know, find relief from. And I guess those are some of the big things I feel like I draw a lot, you know. Sleep disorders, digestive complaints, being affordable that is going to help them. So yeah, it just kind of runs the gamut. But I think people that come to see me in practice, yeah, it's definitely like they're really ready for something more, and they've kind of, you know, seen the doctor or grabbed some herbs here, you know, kind of grabbing all over. They're ready to really like get more support.
For an exam, we want to do a brief overview of what they can expect so they're not intimidated
Right.
by the
Yeah.
process.
Right.
So if I came in to see you, can you kind of run through what that would look like?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely start with like an intake form, and then we kind of do an interview where I look over the intake and ask questions around that. And then the big kind of thing with Chinese medicine is the tongue and the pulse.
Okay.
And I don't know if you can catch this in the, but you know, it's basically just I'm using 3 fingers and this kind of placement on the wrist, and each position kind of correlates with a different organ in the body.
Each finger?
Yeah, each finger, sorry, thanks, correlates with a different organ, and also...
So this finger correlates
See,
to?
this is the right, so this is the lung, this is the stomach spleen, and this is the kidney. Both sides, because this, and yeah, this side would be the heart, liver, and kidney as well. Gathering information about where the chi is with each organ, you know? And it can be something like, you know, that the pulse feels really kind of wiry and tight in this position, so the chi is stuck or stagnated here, or maybe the chi is really, really weak feeling. So it's just like different kind of ways of feeling for the chi for those organs. And then the tongue itself, you know, like looking at the tongue. Yeah,
where
just
would
have
you
you
look?
stick out your tongue, and the whole tongue says a lot. Like your tongue is a little bit swollen, super common. That's a little bit of damp accumulation in the body. The spleen chi, that's talking about the spleen chi. Also the color of the tongue, like color's pretty good on your tongue, but if it's really pale, that might be some blood deficiency, or if it's super red, that might tell you about heat in the body. And then also like positioning, like the back of the tongue, can tell me about the kidneys or the lower part of the body, and the tip tells me about the tongue or the chest and lung and heart area.
So helping rewire the body.
Yeah, kind of
And/or
reset
an herb
things.
to strengthen that
Exactly.
where there is a weakness.
Yeah, and I think the nice thing about Chinese medicine is it's just, it's kind of like encouraging your own body's resources to find homeostasis. You know, it's not like trying to take over the driver's wheel. It's trying to kind of bolster your body's own resources to do its thing naturally, you know. So there's, you know, it's kind of like these glass cups that create suction on the body that, you know, seems different if you've never had it. Or there's also moxa, which is like a way that you kind of apply heat to different points in the body. Those are two big kind of modalities that kind of fit into our practice, just to kind of get confident around it.
I'd like you to be very good.
Yeah.
It is not painful.
Yeah, it actually feels really good. And there's different ways of doing it too. You can put oil on someone's back and do slide cupping where you move it around, and it's actually a lot like getting a massage tool where, first of all, it creates these kind of marks that look like bruises, but they're not bruises. They don't hurt like bruises. But that mark can kind of tell us about what's going on in the body. Like if the mark disappears and kind of gets pale afterwards, that kind of says blood deficiency. If it's really dark red, that means blood stasis. So it's actually a diagnostic tool. And that's one interesting thing about Chinese medicine is like everything you're doing and the way the body responds is another diagnostic tool that kind of gives more